Okay, well, so like I said earlier, I was going to talk about visual motor rehearsal, but I am not. I'm going to talk a little bit about my story of my time in prison in India. And I will just kind of start with, this was a trip that my mom wanted to do very desperately, or she looked forward to it very much. I had no desire really to go to India. I wanted to go to Nepal, to go through the mountains, and that was pretty much it. But my mom's best friend had gone with her daughter, and my mom had always wanted to go to India, so I said, you know what, Mom, there's never going to be you're never going to have enough money, there's never going to be the right time, why don't we plan a trip? So my parents have been married 43 years. She talked to my dad, and he was very hesitant about letting us go in the first place. So that's kind of how I opened up, because I started writing a book in prison over there, so that will be coming out. That's what I have been working on it, and it will be worked on a lot more after this gets done here in the process. So what I wrote for part of my book, I'm not even really sure what they call it, but this is a true story of a mother and daughter's journey through India and their life-altering struggle to get home. So I wrote, hesitantly agreed upon by their families, two American women set out on an adventure through India. Their story will take you on an emotionally charged journey that will have you both laughing and crying. This mother and daughter duo This mother and daughter duo. Ooh, I found typos already. Okay, went on their intrepid and life-changing voyage that took them on a camel safari into the Thar Desert to tracking tigers in the wild. Then walk beside them through the daunting iron gates of Indian prison filled with murderers and drug smugglers. From bribe-seeking cops and talks of terrorism to civil unrest and riots, find out what it took this mother and daughter to get back to their families in the U.S.
This is a movie.
That's a movie.
And I did start a screenplay on it too. I did. So that's kind of how I tied it. That was my little catchy thing there. But I started looking, because this is a huge, I mean, it's a huge story. We were there almost 3.5 months. And I started going through this last night. And I've looked at it. It's been my 3-year anniversary since we got home. And I've looked through the stuff, and I glanced and this and that, and actually I'm going to send this around so people can look. These are like all articles and stuff on the whole ordeal, because it did become very political. We literally just thought we were going to miss our airplane home. So what happened is we were coming down from a 3-week vacation, and at that time we were up in Darjeeling, and we were coming down into West Bengal in a very, very small little airport. And the security, they happened to be doing security check, training that day. I mean, this is like literally a one-terminal airport. And the man asked me if I had an umbrella in my backpack, and I said, oh yeah, absolutely. It was a big mountaineering backpack. And I took the umbrella out, and he didn't even want the umbrella, and he reached in and he pulled out a magazine of bullets. It had 11 bullets in it. It was a cartridge of 9mm bullets. And I just went, oh, good grief. I said, man, we're going to miss. This is literally what I thought. We are going to miss our flight home.
There were bullets in your...
There were bullets. They were Sean's bullets. They were but it was from a previous, like a wilderness trip that we had taken. But they got out at LAX. They went through Taipei. They went through New Delhi twice.
Yeah.
So now we're in this little airport, boom, and they find it. So I'm thinking, okay, gosh, we're probably going to miss our airplane. This is not good. And I got kind of frustrated, and I thought, okay, let's get on with this. We'll get this all straightened out, taken care of. And it went from that to this in the matter of like an hour. Wow. All of a sudden, I mean, the head cop there who filed 24 hours later our arrest, he was not a nice man at all, and it got really, really ugly. So they held us, and this is like, condense this version, how do I do this? Okay, so there's the scenario. We got arrested with bullets, I'll just say that. They held us for the 24 hours, which we knew they had before they issued an arrest warrant. And we were thinking, they're not gonna, we're gonna be going home. Woo, we were getting excited, and we were done with our trip anyhow. And he comes in with 2 arrest warrants, one for myself and one for my mom. And I thought, no way. I had an international cell phone. I had already sent all the SOSs out to the embassy, my family back home. Of course, it was during the night here. Well, it happened, so there's not much you can really do. But my family got on the phone. We were listening to the phone going off the hook in this little police station, and they were doing nothing. They deliberately, in the reports, how we wrote it, the man was deliberately delaying this. And so they came up with, since we didn't take the initiative, or the embassy or our families, to get this information to them, they're arresting us under the Indian Arms Act. And we're like, you're kidding me. We've been listening to the phones going crazy and nobody's answering them. We got calls on the cell phone, because I still had cell phone access, going, isn't anybody in the office? I said, yeah, they're just sitting there laughing and holding guns, and it was very bizarre. Boom, 24 hours later, we're getting hauled off to court, and I'm thinking, court? The embassy did send us a little Indian attorney, and he was the cutest little guy, Mr. Chatterjee, and he had no idea what he was stepping into. No idea at the time. Like I said, this was a very small, transient little place. He did work for Mother Teresa. He was he was an unbelievable person, which he turned out to be an unbelievable. He was really neat. Anyhow, he said he showed up. We had no idea if he was even going to speak English. Thank goodness, a lot of them do. He did. We find ourselves in this. Let me start passing this around. We find ourselves in this little cell that was the most disgusting little holding cell. The court was absolutely chaotic. We had no idea what was going on, and it was probably, we couldn't even hear. We got thrown in there. You'll see some of the cage that they hold you in. Well, you'll see the pictures of the holding cell and the cage in the courtroom that they put the prisoners in. And I have actually a heart condition. It really started acting up, and I was like going, woo, this is like the most my heart's ever taken. My mom's like this unbelievable solid rock. She's just and she was really trying to comfort me, because I was going, what the heck? I mean, are they stupid? I was getting very aggressive, and my mom's like, Heather, it's gonna all work out. Don't worry. And I'm thinking, okay. We get the little Indian, that's the cell right there. The Indian attorney, he came back in, and this was probably about 6:30 at night. We had probably been there since 7 o'clock. No, I'm sorry, it was 10 o'clock. It was so about 10:30 that morning. So we'd been there for about 7 hours or so. And he shook his head and he said, this is not good. Oh, and I'm thinking, you don't just say that. What do you mean this is not good? And he said, well, they're going to have you stand trial for a sentence for 3 to 7 years, and they're taking you to prison. And I'm thinking, now, just a couple hours ago, we're thinking we're going to miss our airplane. Now you're telling us you're sending us to prison. Anyhow, so that was, and they did. They loaded us up in the paddy wagon and hauled us off, stripped us of all of our stuff and our possessions. So the last thing my family heard from us was, when you see that holding cell that we're in, that was what I described to them. It was the most foul, disgusting thing you've ever been in. And that was what they heard, and then all our stuff got taken from us. And they didn't hear from us for almost 3 weeks. Well, not even from us, from the embassy and stuff. So I wrote up a couple other things, and it's interesting. I journalized the whole time. They allowed me to bring, this is my journal, and I'll let you guys see it. And I did that in there. And then my little Indian attorney, this was a handbag one of the prisoners made me in there to keep my stuff that I was collecting through the prison, to keep my stuff in there. And then he bought me this little journal to continue my writing in there, and my little Indian attorney. And he also, the embassy had brought us 2 towels, because we were only issued 1 plate to share, 2 little cups that were chipped and broken, and a bowl. And then, so the embassy brought us 2 towels. So you can see the color of the towel. This towel got used for everything you could possibly imagine, but this was my belt because my pants were getting so big on me. They don't issue uniforms to wear, but we only had the clothes that we went in with, and that was it.
Oh my God.
So this towel I ripped and shredded for face cloths, for feminine issues.
Oh
Sorry
my
about
God.
for a lot of stuff, and this was the my belt. My mom just the other week, believe it or not, she made a bracelet out of, we were issued, it's a cement cell, and we were issued one wool blanket to sleep on. It's all open bars, exposed, and my mom literally threaded this wool blanket together and made this little bracelet, and it just fell off a couple weeks ago. It took that long for it to fall off, but she said she wouldn't take it off until it fell off. It was and she saved it because it's very significant. I wrote a couple things here. This is part of the overview of the book that a man had us kind of write up when we got back. This was literally written up probably about a week, let's just say a week after we got home. So when I read what's in my journal, and when I read what I wrote a week after, which was almost 3.5 months later after we got home, to what I feel now and how I've processed it, and am still processing it, it's very interesting. I have this one, and this is a very hard one, and it's real, and I think I shared this with a couple people, and it says, "It is still so hard for me to comprehend the first 40 hours of our almost," wait, that's not even the one I wanted, okay. Okay, that's not the one either. I'm sorry, but, oh, here it is. It says, "I'll never forget the look in my mom's eyes when she turned to me." Now, this was when we were being held in the actual police station, because it was a very uncomfortable place. They were talking about religion, Al-Qaeda, they were bribing, a lot of stuff was going on. And so I said, "I'll never forget the look in my mom's eyes when she turned to me and said, 'Heather, if these men try to rape us, I'm going to turn and they can shoot me in the back.'" And I went, ah. And I could not believe those words came out of my mom's mouth. I was like, okay. But that was really the feeling, because it was getting so weird. So anyhow, with that time, that will be a cliffhanger there. It's an amazing story, and the stuff that we went through in the prison it was unbelievable, and I still communicate with 2 of the prisoners there, and one of the sisters who would come in and teach them how to weave baskets and speak and become literate. But it's an amazing story that really changed our life.